So then we get to this chapter here. Verse 19. It said 19, I find 4 sources of despair that caused this hiccup in Elijah's life. Somebody say hiccup. I've discovered at least 4 sources of despair in Elijah's life that had him running on empty, wanting to give up when he needed to just reset his soul. This is the thing right here. Watch this. One of the first things that happened to him, I just gave you one word. Y'all ready for it? Depletion. Deplete. Now I want you to put this down. When you put depletion, I want you to put this down. He was depleted by, watch this, depleted by his victories. Let me say it again. He was depleted by his victories. Elijah was really pumped up after the amazing victory on Mount Carmel. Isn't it something that when you do something great, you have a great event, you have a great moment, you're doing great things, but soon as that event or that thing is over, it's like, what do I do now? What's next? And this is why we have to be careful in our ministry, in our lives, that as we are striving to do great things, be careful when they're over. Because that's when Satan comes and say, see, all that stuff you thought was great is over now. All that work you put into it is over now. It'll depletes your victory. Something like, be careful. Elijah was pumped up. Look at this thing, church. In 1 Kings 18:46, it describes Elijah was pulling like I call a Forrest Gump. Y'all with me? He was running ahead of Ahab. I want y'all to catch this now. He had done great things. He just killed all these. So they came and said, if your God is really God, let me see him do some great things. And he took them 800 soul prophets and went down with some fire and burnt them up with water. And they went back to go report the good news. And Ahab in the text says he ran back and forth. This wasn't no 2-minute run. This was a 20-mile run. This brother was running back and forth, celebrating. Celebrating what God had done. He was going back and forth. He was running. He's even running with the chariots. He arrived back at the palace before Ahab. He got back to the kingdom. They're like, oh, can't wait for the king. Come tell me what I just did. He thought he did some wonderful things. He thought he had a great victory. Amen? This is not your typical run. He ran this far. And then when he gets there, he couldn't wait to receive the public recognition. Stop right there. If you're doing anything for public recognition, you're doing it for the wrong reason. He couldn't wait to do it for public recognition. He couldn't wait to say, I did that. He couldn't wait to say, what y'all gonna do for me since I did this for you. He thought he deserved a standing ovation. I've learned, church, you won't get all the standing ovations you expect to get when you're doing the will of God in your life. He thought he should deserve it. He was on this spiritual high, Pastor Black. He was on a spiritual high. And maybe thought that since all the false prophets were put to death, Jezebel would be next. However, Elijah soon discovered, here's another one, write it down, put it on paper. He soon discovered that the most vulnerable point in our lives, in my life, is right after we or I have experienced a mighty victory. The most vulnerable point in our lives is right after victory. Write that down and don't you ever forget it so you can learn how to reset. So that once you finish and receive victory, don't lose your head. Just cool out, chill out, and know that trouble's coming. Just know that it's on its way, and what you need to do is keep your eye focused on the prize. Because it's at that moment that Satan likes to come in and tear down your victory. When we come off the mountain, we often go right into a valley. Am I talking Bible? Any mountaintop experience you own right now, guess what? You're going to have to do what? Come down from it. And where you got to go? Into the valley. This is why David says, yea, though I walk through the valley, because David knew that I'm going to have some high mountaintop moments and I'm going to have some valley experience moments. But through it all, I'm going to keep going through it so I can reach another mountaintop. That's why I say, through every mountain, I'll keep my eye on the prize. When we come to a mountain, we often have to go through a place of valleys and where we have to reset.